Hi guys, this is Lalana. Thank you for tuning into the Sovereign Path. So today we're going to talk about triggers, right? The trigger warnings. So this channel and a lot of my content on my past channel and other content that I have on my other social media accounts, I know I've said in the past, I apologize when things trigger you guys, right? Because I know that there will be things that I say that are going to be triggering. And so when I say that, I am basically saying that, one, we need to continually look at triggers as if they are the gold mines on this path. So we need to look like if I'm triggering you, or if someone else is triggering you, or if your twin is triggering you, or a situation is triggering you, to stop and just sort of sit with that for a minute and look inward and ask yourself, why is this bothering me, right? Where is this coming from? Where do I feel this in my chakra systems? Is this a wound that I'm running, right? Is this a belief system that I have? Is this sort of pushing back against a program that I have running? Is this coming up for question within me that is making me want to immediately react, respond, argue, defend, push back? All of these sort of things are coming from some inner childhood wound, some karmic contract, some program or belief that is being touched, that the ego self has identified with and is now therefore saying, no, this is me, and you will not cross the boundary of me as in the ego. So it's really important for us to understand that if we're on an awakening path, ascension path, ego death, dark night of the soul, we're going through an alchemy process, all of these are one and the same. We're going down a twin flame path, that things are constantly going to come up for you, that the ego is constantly going to try to defend, right? The awakening process, the alchemy that goes on, is about turning lead into gold. It is about shifting the lower vibratory congestion, confusion, junk, glue, paste as I call it, that's going on in these lower chakra systems that are basically running on survival, lack, instinct, fear, all of these sort of things. In the third dimensional reality, we are running from those programs. We are running off of those lower vibratory frequencies in this dimension, because this dimension is based on separation, duality, lack, and fear, none of which are actually real in the higher aspects of the universe, and certainly in the higher aspects of you, who is the universe incarnate. So the triggers are going to come up. You're going to feel triggers from me on this channel, probably other coaches or guides or mentors that you potentially are subscribing to are going to trigger you in one way or another. Certainly your twin is going to trigger you all the time in every way. So I wanted you guys to just understand that those defense mechanisms that come up, that are saying, no, stop, it isn't, you're wrong, whatever that is that goes on in that mental chatter when we feel triggered, these are the aspects of you that are coming up for healing, clearing, right? Dissolving, releasing, letting go, no longer running, all of these sort of things. Triggers are gold mines. Triggers show you where you're trapped. They show you where you're stuck. They show you where you have been running the same cycle over and over and over again. So the ego self, the false self, which we identify here as in the third dimensional reality until we go through an awakening and come back into the embodiment of the higher self, come back into union with self. The ego believes that it is you, right? It doesn't know the higher self. I'll keep saying this. The ego does not know the higher self. The ego does not know who the higher self is. And the ego feels threatened by things that are not in its realm of understanding, in its realm of perception. The ego is based on separation. The ego is based in the third dimensional reality. The awakening process is here to shift you out of the third dimensional reality, out of ego, out of program. So when you get triggered, it's those aspects of the false identification of you that are being triggered. So this is where I talk about who you are at the beginning of an awakening process and a twin flame process is not going to be who you are when you come through it at the end. This is what I mean. So the stages of awakening, or we can talk about the stages of alchemy. These have slightly different definitions and verbiages, but basically it's all the same thing. This means that you're awakening into self. You're awakening into, wait a second, this isn't who I thought I am. And I'm noticing that I'm running these programs and I'm running these cycles and these loops, and I'm noticing that something is a bit off, right? And so the ego starts to be crumbled. It starts to dissolve. The ego starts to not have the same kind of grip on you as it has had all of its life. So all of your life. So as that continues to move, more and more programs are released, the belief systems are released, you come back into inner union with self, you come back into embodiment with higher self, you remember who you are, you shift into the fifth dimensional reality. That is the process of alchemy, that is the process of awakening, the process of ascension. That is what your twin flame is here to trigger you to do. So how we go through that process is triggers, literally. We go through that process by being triggered. So your higher self is going to trigger you, your soul family is going to trigger you, your spirit guides are going to trigger you, your twin flame is going to trigger you, who is you, incarnate in another body, same soul, two bodies. All of these systems, all of these soul family systems, for lack of a better way of saying that on the fly, are all working in congruency to shift you out of the 3D. That's what they're doing. That's what they're here. Every single thing that triggers you is being guided by your whole team to trigger you to release that thing. So I'm going to do another video on karmic contracts, karmic relationships. I've talked a lot about karmic relationships over the years. Your karmic partnerships, because we have this really negative connotation that karmic partnerships are awful and, oh, he's with his karmic or she's with her karmic and all of this sort of thing. Your karmic partnerships in your world are part of your soul family. These are part of your soul family. This is not some awful soul situation that's coming in here that doesn't have anything to do with you and it's just kind of outside of you, or whatever sort of beliefs are going on in regard to karmics. Karmics are part of your soul family. This is probably like one of your best friends in the higher realms. And the two of you have agreed to come into this incarnation to break each other free from lessons, right? That's the point of a karmic partnership. So although they have all of these negative connotations and they are very difficult to navigate, I understand, they are here to set you free, right? They're here to unlock a lesson that you continue to run over and over and over again. They're here to show you that lesson. That's why it keeps showing up over and over and over again. Because the karmic is like, what are you doing? We keep doing this thing, we keep running against the same wall over and over. Why do you keep doing this? Well, I'm going to keep showing it to you then. That's guided by your soul family. That's guided by your higher self. No different than all the triggers and things that are going on with your twin. Those are guided by a higher power, right? The higher power, which is you, the highest aspect of you, is guiding this path. So all the triggers that come through, including all the triggers from me or any other, around you in your realm, these are for your growth. These are for your expansion. These are to break you free from whatever it is, whatever wound it is, or program or belief or pattern that your ego has been holding on so tightly to for however long, lifetimes for a lot of us, That trigger comes in to break that free, to break that loose, that thing that we've been holding so tightly to. Awakening is about surrender. It's about flow. It's about being back in the universal flow. It's about being back in the hum of the universe, right? It's not about resistance. It's not about restriction. It's not about holding on. All of those things are based on a separation frequency which only exists in the 3D. So the triggers are here to break you free. They are gifts for you. So it's a really important thing that we do our best to shift our programming, right? And to shift our mindset when we're on an awakening path, when we're on an ascension path, into a place of saying, okay, why is this triggering me? You know, why is Lalana triggering the shit out of me right now? Why is Lalana really getting under my skin? What's going on within me that she's touching, right? This is a gift, and I know that it doesn't feel like that. I have been in the throes of this, same as you guys, for years. I completely get it and I completely understand it, which is why I talk in a very straightforward, very blunt, very honest way, because it's the only way through. You know, a lot of other things sort of get us snowballed into this twin flame fantasy and the distortion of the twin flame stereotype and the trendiness of it and all of these sort of things that have gotten like really out of hand, and that basically the point of that is to keep you off the path. And it does a damn good job of keeping people off of the path, right? Because the more separation comes in, the more separation is anchored within us, the more programs and beliefs and all of these things that are anchored within us that are not in our highest good and that are not in union with self, that stuff is going to keep us derailed and going in different directions and not knowing what's going on. You know, I mean, and that's what the 3D represents. It's sort of a chaos dimension. It is. And we're here to experience that, but we're not here to stay in it. This is not our true vibration. This is not our true self. This is an experience that we're having. And with all souls, that experience, as other experiences, comes to a close once you've learned the things that you need to learn. And then it's time to go and have your other experience in another dimension, right? Whatever your soul growth has planned for you from that point on. So the triggers are gifts. And I want you guys to look at them as gifts. And anytime you get triggered, anytime you feel that old emotion coming up, you feel like, God, why do I keep feeling it? I've been feeling this for years, you know, that feeling, you know, or why do I keep reacting in this way? I've been reacting like this for a really long time, not only in this relationship or this situation, but other ones as well. You know, this kind of gets wrapped up in the whole, like, but this is just who I am. This is just my personality. This is what my mom did, or my grandma did, or my grandfather did, or, you know, my brother. And this is just the way I am, right? And ego loves that, loves that. Well, this is just it, though. This is just it. This is just the way it is. No, it's not. No, it's not. If you're on awakening path, no, it's not. It's the way it is when you're anchored in the 3D. It's not the way it is when you're going through an awakening process and shifting out of the 3D. And the triggers are here to literally do that, right? The obstacles are the path. The obstacles are not in your way. The obstacles are not to push aside, crawl over, do all of these things. The obstacles are for you to work your way through, right? To work your way through. What is it? One of the quotes, the only way out is through. Robert Frost, maybe? I could be that wrong. The only way out is through. So it means that everything that's coming up on this path is coming up to assist you to break free of it, right? These are just like guides constantly coming up. And it feels like it's, you know, hellish. And the dark night definitely feels like hell. But when you look at it as this is breaking me free from the shackles that have been on me for however many lifetimes, this is actually a gift, you know. My higher self is actually guiding all of this, and so I can surrender into it, and I can look at the triggers as being, okay, this is a time for me to go in and really see why this is coming up. You know, what is my inner child saying? Is my inner child screaming out in pain? You know, are they feeling victimized, abandoned, wounded, betrayed? What's going on here? And why am I running that program still? Where did that program come from? Let me look into that. This is what the Twin Flame Path is assistant for you to do. This is the purpose of it, to go deep within the stuff that most of us do not want to see. This is what Ascension is. It's what alchemy is. It's what awakening is. It's breaking you out of all of those wounds and patterns and all of the things that make you feel heavy and gunky and hitting the same wall. And why do I keep manifesting and creating the same life even though I'm trying to do something different? Because you're running a program that's telling you this is who you are, and you believe it. Your subconscious believes it. This process and the triggering in this process will make you not believe it anymore, because you'll remember, oh, that's not me. That's not me. It was never me. It was just a role that I was playing in this experience, and that's it. And now I'm gonna play a different role in a different experience, and that's it too. So that's what I have for you guys. So happy triggering. I hope you have an awesome day.